It's us, plus one. It's an exciting day here for Wine Wednesday because it's not Wine Wednesday, it's Wahaka Wednesday. I am a huge fan of yours. I am a Mezcal baby through and through. I am...
Don't the kids call that a Mezcal stan?
A Mezcal stan. I am. Yeah. I'm not sorry about that.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds fun.
In the post-production, we can discuss the stan language, or you can look it up on Urban Dictionary. More importantly, let's talk cheese and booze. This is Poco Rojo. It's from Lark's Meadow in Rexburg, Idaho. The same way you think of Mesa Farms, we want you to hold Lark's Meadow in that same very special place. Animal husbandry is key. We are really excited about how they treat their animals, how they milk their animals, how they make their cheese, and the terroir that it brings in the same way it does spirits and wine. So Poco Rojo is a sheep's milk cheese coagulated with thistle rennet. And when we talk about rennet, usually we're talking about either lab-created rennet or animal rennet. Historically, we'd pull rennet from the lining of a calf's stomach, and we would use that to get all of the fats and proteins to contract away from all of the liquid matter. Here, they're using thistle rennet. So if you take those blossoms, steep it into a tea, and add that tea to fresh milk, you'll get the same coagulation. But it results in a different texture, and I find that it's most pleasing in this cheese. I have taken umbrage with thistle rennet, and I'm sorry for you thistle stands. However, I think that is perfect here. And we've got it at the perfect time. So you're getting that little bit of red around the rind, so the Poco Rojo. You're getting a really, really serious, dense, squishy, luscious paste that someone is going to be mad at me for using those words, and I am, again, not sorry. But I want you to rejoice in the flora of mold and what is happening on the exterior, because it is imparting and driving flavor in a way that only a small batch cheesemaker can do, and it is joyful with this. Gentleman.
It looks like a joyful schmear, if you ask me.
A schmear of sorts. You know we love a schmear.
And why umbrage with thistle rennet?
I think that it can make other cheeses really chalky and a bit kind of grating on your tongue. I think it pulls away from the flavor and distracts you with texture, but here I find that it doesn't do that at all. So, do you remember Torta La Serena?
Yeah.
That cheese from Spain from forever ago?
Yeah.
If you remember that cheese, it is like that in here. Those are the only two cheeses that I've ever truly enjoyed thistle flour used as rennet, because it didn't muck up my experience.
I was very curious about that. Thank you for the illumination.
You consider yourself illuminated.
Well, that brings us to Oaxaca Wednesday, and if there's a spirit that transports me more than good mezcal, I have yet to find it. It is the most terroir-driven, transparent, and magical of all spirits for me, especially in the summer months when it gets hot and weird and crazy outside and things are melting. It is refreshing beyond compare, and with the abundance of varieties of agave out there, specific varieties that you find in mezcal, there's a different expression that fits everyone. I'm proud to announce that the DABC did something right, and they added a new listing to the shelves. And yes, if you've heard me rant in past weeks, go ask your store to bring it on. That's how this works. But I called in heavy artillery specifically for this one, my dear friend Eduardo Balanceron, who's been kind enough to let me work with him for a couple of years now, and I'd like to let him discuss the details of this particular lovely. Back to you, Eduardo.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I dream always being in your program, and finally I'm here, and I don't have a wine, so it's incredible. But let's go start for the beginning, because the good stories start always for the beginning. So mezcal is very similar to wine, right? Each grape gives you different flavors. Each agave will give you different flavors. Each productor will give you a different flavor. It's the same in the mezcal. So this is a mezcal made by the same producer that made all the line of Oaxaca. So Oaxaca Mezcal don't go looking for different producers. Only one producer make Oaxaca Mezcal. And we have a different agaves and different flavors and different presentation. But here we are to talk about Oaxaca Mezcal, Reposado con Gusano, or Avocado con Gusano. So avocado, what a word, right? Poco Rojo, coming from Spanish, sounds to me. Well, avocado also coming from Spanish. That means boca a boca. So that means this mezcal, when it's finished, we add something. What we add to this mezcal? We add worms. Worms, not like you have in this beautiful cheese. They are a little bigger. They are worms that live in the agave, and they have been living there forever. and their normal house is the mezcal. So for 100 years, the people add the worms that was living in the agaves back to their house in the mezcal to flavor it. And finally, Wahaka Mezcal bring them to the market with this flavor. But also, we using the same marketing that they was using in the 40s. That means put a worm in the bottle. We understand that is some stigma about the worm in the bottle because some mezcals, they are different habit, and some people maybe don't like those. But we understand that also the worm is a source of protein and it's a source of flavor, and we want to put it on the top. So maybe it's the only premium mezcal they have a worm, and we are very proud because if you know where you come from, you can totally go where you go, right?
Well, I love the fact that you're sort of going back to historical tradition and using it to actually flavor the mezcal, which has been done for 400 years, and not just doing it as a marketing trick like most people have been doing for the last, since the 40s, like you mentioned.
Yes, it was they using just for big distinguish with the tequila that at that time they called Mexican whiskey. So they don't want to be mixed up with each other, so they decide to put this worm in the bottle. And why not? I think it's a phenomenal marketing action because now we know when you see worm in a bottle, you say mezcal. So this is great. But this mezcal, they have the worm, yes, but it's because the flavor is there because this is infused with worms. So you will get the flavor. I hope you will try it with this cheese. It's fantastic. So you put your tongue in front of your teeth and you will get this flavor of the worm that mixed with this cheese go fantastically. I recommend totally they get the cheese with the cover that is in the top. They will totally mix it with the mezcal. So I congratulate it. It's a fantastic, fantastic pairing. Thank you very much. You are very talented. Wow.
So glad you're here.
Having tasted them both, I can attest to the fact that these went together beautifully. And no, if you're asking, it doesn't taste like worms. It tastes like honey and vanilla and flowers and a little bit of sea salt at the front of the palate. Because when you do run your tongue up around your teeth, you actually totally get that flavor, and it's wonderful. This is a great addition to the mezcal market in Utah.
We're so glad you're here. We're so glad this is here.
Thank you very much.
We've got stuff to drink. We'll talk later. We love you a lot.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
Thrilled. Thank you again. We love you guys too. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Be good.